So I had a client in early 2016 who wanted to buy a $3 million rental. I'll give you the scenario. He was a doctor, made about $400,000 a year. He had net income in the company that was left over. He paid dividends between his wife, himself, and his daughter. He had about $700,000 worth of retained earnings inside of it. He had a principal residence property worth about $3 million with a $1.4 million mortgage. He had a rental property worth $3 million and had about a $1.7 million mortgage and had about $6,000 a month rental on it. So he wanted to go and buy another $3 million property with a $1.9 million mortgage. And it was worth about $3 million. So the question was, I got to pull equity out of his principal residence, and I got to figure out how to get another $1.9 million mortgage for this new rental. So when we were doing all the analysis, using the traditional software that mortgage brokers use, the GDS, TDS calculations just became extraordinarily difficult to work with. And it became very difficult to work with when we started to move it from lender 1 to lender 2 to lender 3 to lender 4, because we had to change all the numbers in each of the individual properties, and it became an absolute nightmare. So in early 2016, when this happened, I said, okay, I need to really rethink mortgage math. So I sat down at Starbucks, and the question I asked myself, as I said, was, what is easily comparable inside of mortgage math? Well, it turns out that it's actually possible to convert a property itself into an income. So even though we do all the calculations, which I'm going to show you here as an example, a mortgage might cost, or a property might cost $2,000 a month, but when you actually factor that out into an income, it might require $57,000 or $60,000 worth of income to cover. So I realized that if I can convert these people's properties into incomes, and I knew what his income was, I could easily compare the scenarios. So that's what we ended up doing. So right now, I'm going to actually show you an example of exactly what I mean. So I'm just going to go click on Create New Analysis. So I'm just going to do, I'm actually going to do this as 5% down as an example. So I'm going to do someone who's looking to buy like a $700,000 property, and he already owns 2 other properties. So here we go, 5% down, qualifying rate obviously 4.99, amortization 300 months or 25 years. GDS, I'm going to assume 39.44. So notice how I'm putting the GDS here, and I'm not trying to calculate it. So there's a reason to this madness. So rental offsets, I'm going to do 20%, and basement suite offset 20%. So for the mathematical people wondering where the add backs are, a 50% add back is actually a 20% offset. 100% add back is about a 40% offset. So I'll show you the math about that in other videos down the road. So now I'm going to add this person's income. So let's say we got John Smith, and he makes $75,000 a year. And let's say his wife is self-employed, and Jane Smith, and her net income is $65,000 for 2016 and $80,000 for 2017. So the combined income here is $147,000 combined. So my numbers, my comparisons now are all about comparing against this $147,000. I'm no longer interested in GDS, TDS. So let's go through an example. So add subject principal. So we can add subject principal, add subject rental, add non-subject principal, add non-subject rental. So the first thing I'm going to do is add a subject principal. So this is going to be the new home. I'm going to do 5% down just to show you guys the math of this. So $700,000, because let's say that's the purchase price. So it's going to be left, I guess, with a $690 mortgage, approximately. Rental income is going to be 0. Qualifying mortgage payment, not the real payment, is $4,030. The heat is going to be $150, and strata is going to be nothing, and the taxes might be $100. So we're basically buying a nice condo. So notice this $4,200 a month payment. This is the cost of this property as a payment, like a car payment or a house payment. But when you actually calculate this into income, it becomes a $131,000 income requirement. This is the trick I did. I converted this 4280 into an income. Now I can look at this and say, oh, does this work? 147,000 versus 131. That's pretty much the math that we ended up figuring out. Now, oh yeah, just this is a side token here. If you're wondering how this math works, you take 4280 times it by 12 and you divide it by the GDS in this exact example. So now I mentioned this guy owned 2 other properties. So I'm going to do add non-subject rental. So let's just do rental 1. Let's say the rent, I'm just going to do this on the fly. Rental income is 2,000. His mortgage payment is 1,600. His heat, strata, and his taxes are $100 or maybe 120. So because it's a 20%, we're only allowed to use 20% for the basement suite or the rental offset. This property basically creates a $1,300 a month liability, which is a $36,000 requirement. Now I'm just going to add something I forgot. I wanted to actually just add extra here, just to show you the significance of this. I'm going to actually assume that this is actually not a condo, and I'm going to assume it's a home, and it actually has a rental income because it's going to show different numbers in different scenarios down the road. So I apologize for that. The rental income is going to be $1,200, so we're buying a house for $700,000. And now, again, that's, if you notice, the $1,200 added to that only reduced the income requirement by 10 grand, and that's because of the 20% offset. So let's go back here. Rental 1, this costs $1,300 a month, equals $36,000 a year of income requirement. Now he has another property, and now I'm going to go rental 2. Oops. Now I'm going to go rental 2. And let's say he has $2,500 and the mortgage payment is $1,800 and no heat, no strata, and the taxes are $200. So in this scenario, he has a negative $1,500 a month liability, which gets translated into a $40,000 income requirement. So the combined income required here for this deal at 5% down is $200,000. He only has $147,000 available. This deal no longer is going to work at 5% down. So let's say, for example, we were going to use a 20% down lender that has excellent offsets. So all I'm going to do is click this copy worksheet, and now I'm going to do 20% down. Excellent. Okay, we'll do excellent offsets, because this can be a couple monoline lenders. So I'm going to assume the 4.99. I'm going to do the amortization of 360. GDS, TDS is going to stay the same. The rental offset now can go to 80, and the basement suite offset can go to 82. So what's going to happen? The income here is going to be the same. And now, notice here, the new home with $1,200 a month rental income with an 80% offset costs $3,000 a month, which then gets translated into a $91,000 income requirement. And now look at these new rentals here. Negative $120 a month. It's only a negative $3,000 requirement. And actually this one here breaks out even. So now this person's income requirement at 20% down is $95,000. And that's how fast I was able to calculate that. If I wanted to modify other numbers in here quickly, if I wanted to figure out in this exact scenario what technically could he actually get as a maximum mortgage, all I'd have to do is type in the number and get it as close to 147,000 as I possibly could. So let me just go back to the original. Okay, so now I'm going to go and figure out what will Scotia do for this deal. So let's go Scotia, 4.99. Obviously after January 1st, it's going to be 4.99. 36-year, TDS 4444. Rental offset's going to be 50. Basement suite is going to be 20. Now I'm just going to scroll down here. So we're sort of close. If I wanted to use Scotia, you know, 141,000 versus 147 is definitely an option. So now the thing here is, though, I can get rid of my taxes because I'm dealing with Scotia. We don't do taxes and strata. And now the income requirement is 132,000 versus the 147,500. So that is the numbers there. Now let's go figure out what Coast Capital would want to do. So I go copy worksheet, Coast Capital, For those who don't know who Scotia Capital, it's a credit union out of British Columbia. I'm going to assume that they're going to be using, they're not federally regulated, so I'm going to use the provincial qualification numbers for them. It's 3.69, 360 months for amortization, 39 GDS, 44 TDS, rental offset 75, basement suite 85. So what are they going to do? In this scenario, they'll require the principal residence amount. It's going to be $73,000 worth of income required. And both of these suites pretty much go to zero. So the income required is 75 grand a year, and we have $147,000 available. So let's say, for example, I was sitting with a client, and the client was asking me like, so, okay, so I can afford the $700,000 property. How much of a mortgage could I qualify for based on this situation? Well, I say, okay, if we're dealing with Coast, all I got to do is I got to get these numbers to match. So if I go to 690 and I go 1.1 million, oh, it can go higher than 1.1 million, 1.2 million. We're at a $1.2 million range. I can tell that client immediately. What else can I do here? Another thing that I can do is I can calculate, or I can show the client the power of rental income. So for example, if this $1,200 a month didn't exist, now we need $178,000 worth of income. If, for example, I told the client, hey, we need to get like a property with 2 basements, a 2-bedroom suite, and we need at least $1,800 a month rental income, then to make a deal work, then I can easily calculate that too. So this pretty much has made me able to analyze multiple properties in multiple different ways very fast. So this is Lender Analysis. If you guys got questions, feel free to ask, and pretty much have a great day.